Turning 50. What happens when we turn 50? Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne, and I hope you subscribe to my page. You know, I got to thinking today about when I turned 50. Now, I'm in my 60s, so you're probably saying, why am I doing a video on turning 50? Well, I lived through being 50s. I lived through the 50s, not the 1950s, but the age from 50 to 60. And I have to tell you that for me, my 50s were fabulous, absolutely fabulous 50s. Did I have some bumps in the road? Absolutely. I had a few bumps in the road. One was a health crisis that I got through, and I was still raising children because we didn't start our family until I was in my early 40s. So I had teenagers, and actually I had one that wasn't even quite a teenager, two that weren't quite teenagers when I turned 50. And so I was raising children. And, you know, whereas a lot of people are grandparents by then. We bought a motor home when I was in my 50s, and for my 50th birthday, actually. And we traveled all over whenever we could. I was homeschooling my children at the time, and so we were able to homeschool and travel, and we saw 48 states. So my 40s were fabulous, minus the health crisis. Also, I was taking care of my elderly mother when I turned 50. And that was pretty traumatic because my mother had always been a very strong woman. And then she took sick, and she had gotten Parkinson's, and it really, you know, just wreaked havoc with her body. And so it was a very difficult and challenging time because I was homeschooling, raising small children, and taking care of my elderly mother in my home. But I'm glad I did it because I had an amazing mother, and she has since passed. And you know, taking care of her was an honor for me to do. And I believe that I did a wonderful job at taking care of my mother. And so I was dealing with that. So, you know, and I saw people that I knew drop off, so to speak, in my 50s. And I think that's kind of normal, whether it was relatives and some friends and, you know, some acquaintances. You know, our bodies change in our 50s, so we have to stay on top of things. At least for me, I did. I've always worked out, taking care of my body. And I believe that the 50s is a time when people start to think, well, you know, what am I going to do when I retire? And in some cases, people do retire or are retired by the time they're 50. It just all depends. So there's a lot of things that people are beginning to deal with that they didn't deal with before. It could be health issues. It could be the loss of people that they knew. It could be a change in relationships. You know, a lot of different things can happen in the 50s, but then a lot of different things can happen at any age of our lives, at any decade, and at any season. And I think a lot of it's about attitude. It's about taking care of who we are. And for me, I kept a great attitude, and even going through the more challenging and difficult times that I did. And once I got through those times, I was back out there again, making life happen. You know, sometimes we have to conserve ourselves, conserve our energy, and focus in on whatever we're going through if it's a crisis. And yet, once we get through that crisis, most often we can get back out there and begin to live life again. But I was busy. I was busy even during my health crisis, and even, you know, especially during the time I was taking care of my mother and raising my children. I was busy, so I didn't really have a lot of time to focus on my crisis, although I did have to focus. And the rest of the time, like I said, it was fabulous. We, you know, moved from one house to another. We traveled. I was raising kids. I was going through all those stages. But for a lot of people, it's, you know, now becoming a grandparent, now retiring, preparing for retirement financially, taking care of their health. You know, so every decade of life has changes to it. It can have issues attached to it, but it also has blessings. And sometimes most people just focus strictly on the issues and not on the blessings. And so every age has its blessings, and the 50s most certainly had its blessings for me, and I think it has its blessings for most people. So I hope you subscribe to my page, and I share a lot of my down-home mom wisdom. And I will be talking to you soon, I hope. From my house to yours, talk to you then. Bye-bye.